opposite than what we do usually is a government organization. It's a state corporation that was founded in 1971. And it is mandated to preserve, maintain, and promote the rich and diverse cultures of Kenya. So of all of its ethnic communities and all of its cultural diversity. So the mission is to preserve and maintain, and the vision is to be the leading custodian of Kenya's cultures for tourism development. So the standard products that Bomas has had for now 50 years, so last year, in 2021, we celebrated our 50th anniversary. So the products vary from performing arts, which is a strong element and a strong component in our mandate, to an open-air museum, a collection of traditional artifacts, a collection of costumes and attires, a restaurant that specializes in traditional Kenyan cuisines, and so on and so forth. Okay, the technology is not working. I am pressing. Oh, points to them, okay. I am pointing. Yeah, can you kindly just go and move? Should have tested this before. Oh, it is working finally. It's a bit like those old TVs, you know, you have to first smack it on the side so it can start working. There. We also do extensive research, so both ethnomusicological and general anthropological research on different aspects of Kenya's cultures. We participate in and organize cultural festivals. We represent Kenya on different international platforms when it comes to performing arts, when it comes to traditional exhibits, and so on and so forth. We've also ventured quite a bit into digital media and into audiovisual production. So the photo here in the bottom corner, which is titled Chapa Story, is an example of a digital media production we did during COVID, in which we were basically dramatizing and narrating traditional myths and legends from different communities of Kenya, with a strong note of vernacular languages and of traditional music. So that's to give you the idea of the backdrop of the institution in which we work and where this project is being implemented. Kindly next slide. So as you can imagine, being the only national institution with a mandate in cultural tourism, Bomas is instrumental for preserving Kenya's cultural heritage. But for the longest, at least for the last few years, there's been a need to look for alternative and innovative ways of delivering on this mandate. Of course, the global pandemic has, I believe, encouraged a lot of us working in the industry on looking for ways of how we can repackage, how we can disseminate and deliver the products of our work in times of restrictions on physicality. So restrictions on public gatherings, restrictions on travel, and so on and so forth. And how do we also attract new generations of audiences to Bomas and speak to a younger public? So the project we talk about today is part of a larger digitization project, which targets all of our products and services. In 2021, the Bomas of Kenya signed a partnership agreement with a Swedish organization, a Swedish company called Libido Music. So this is a tech-oriented and innovation-oriented company which has extensive experience in providing digital solutions, and with I think an emphasis on interactive digital solutions for museums, science centers, public events, and so on and so forth. And they came with the proposal of developing the Sample Bar Kenya project. So what is Sample Bar? So Sample Bar is an interactive ethnomusicological exhibit that is aimed at preserving and showcasing Kenya's cultural heritage through digitized music recordings. So the objective of the project is to archive and safeguard the diverse sounds, melodies, rhythmical patterns of Kenyan traditional instruments, and do so in a futuristic and also kind of a fun, interactive manner. So the technology which our team here is going to explain is based on QR codes, and it has a strong interactive and creative component. So I'm going to play just a small segment of it, and then I'm going to allow the team to come and show you the actual installation. So initially, this installation was first developed for the Performing Arts Museum in Stockholm, Sweden. And it was initially applied to classical musical instruments. It was actually a mixture of instruments from different parts of the world. And this is now the first time it was applied to actual traditional music in Kenya. So this is an example that is existent in the museum in Sweden. And in our efforts to try and explain this kind of complicated part of technology, we have come today with a portable version of the same. So at this juncture, I'd like to invite Håkan or Preben to come and demonstrate how does the sample bar table work, really the technology part of it. Welcome.
So if I speak like this, people online won't hear it, right?
Yeah, what is a microphone?
Okay. Thank you. So this is the portable, or actually foldable version of the sample bar Kenya that we made ourselves. So it's easy enough for us that we can bring it down on a flight. Right now we made these ones. It's just plates of wood that has optical code, a code on the background, on the backside that is detected by a camera inside this this installation. In the real installation, of course, it will be a much nicer piece of furniture, and all these blocks will have a symbol representing the instrument that each block controls. So you interact by sound technician. You're welcome to bring up the sound a little bit. Nice. You control the level, just like a mixer. So it's a bit weaker. That is louder. I can create different patterns by twisting it, and I can sort of space out the arrangement by putting the sound to the left or to the right. And then you can create your own mix of these instruments by adding one at a time. Right now on this screen you see information about the last instruments that has been played on this installation. But in the final installation there's one main screen that explains your interaction in real time, where you see a symbol of your instrument and how it is related to the other ones. You sort of have visual representation of your mix, but you can also add different effects, just like in a recording studio. So it's the idea is to add that sort of fun element to it. Also, one very important aspect of this, sorry, I forgot to say, on one side is also information how the interaction works and a short documentation of the process. So there are 3 screens connected to this installation. The very important thing is the lack of any, there is no demand of any previous knowledge. So if you're very interested in musicology, you can stand here forever and explore facts about these instruments and the cultures around them. Or if you're 5 years old and have no clue whatsoever about anything, you can just play and have fun. So there's no learning curve at all. Preben, maybe you want to add a few things?
Maybe you just go and jam, show what it can do.
Yeah. Bring it up.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So we're going to try and give you some opportunity to actually interact with the table towards the end of the presentation during the Q&A. So allow me to just finish the theoretical aspect and the project impact. So what is the target of this project? The project target is to develop and permanently exhibit 8 of these sample bar installations at Bomas of Kenya. The number 8 represents what used to be the old region or provinces of Kenya. So we have grouped the traditional music into areas in which the different instruments can, at least based on cultural similarities, interact with each other. So we are going to have a central region table, coastal region, eastern, northeastern, Nyanza, Rift Valley, western Kenya, and a Nairobi city table. The idea behind the Nairobi city table is that we want to also investigate how did the traditional sounds and melodies influence contemporary music in Kenya. So recording guitars, drum sets, bass guitars, and so on and so forth, but trying to link them to the patterns and rhythms that we have found throughout the country in different traditional settings. We tend to be quite proud because this installation is going to be first of its kind on the African continent. The Libido Music has plans for the future, and hopefully we'll take this to other countries. The project was initially launched based on a prototype back in October 2021. Okay, I'm skipping some slides, yeah? So and based on our target audiences, which based on the statistic that we have, we receive around 200,000 school-going children annually, and around 50,000 local domestic tourists and 15,000 international tourists. We have decided to do some tweaks and some changes to the initial project prototype. So one of those changes that I'd like to talk about a bit is this aspect or this mandate of cultural preservation and of authenticity of Kenyan music has made us expand the research over and above just about the melodies. So the project digital documentation also entails extensive interviews with practitioners, with elders of different communities, in which we try and understand also how was this instrument used traditionally, what are the instruments it would play with, what are the community beliefs and taboos about this specific musical genre. We have also decided to actually purchase the physical instruments. So aside from this digital aspect that you see here on the screens, the installation will also be connected with a system of sensors and lights to physical instruments. So you'll have a literal gallery exhibit in which you can see your obokano and your nyatiti and whatever behind glass. But then when you place the block on the sample bar table, a light will light up behind the physical instruments. So there's also that interaction between the physicality and the tradition and the digital and contemporary. We also we also were very keen on the school-going children as one of our target audiences. So we've introduced some additional gamification into the exhibition. So at the end, children will also be able to test their knowledge in a way and see how does this experience impact their understanding of Kenyan music through different arcade games. We're talking about a sensorial map that is going to be a map of Kenya on the floor, which you'll be able to step on different regions and launch different sounds and things like that. And then also we did some modifications to make the installation accessible to persons with disabilities. We are currently in the digital documentation phase, so that we've completed recordings in 4 regions of the country and covered over 80 traditional instruments. And for each instrument, we usually record at least 4, 5 or more samples or patterns. Completion percentage is therefore for at about 50%, and we are heading to the coastal region of Kenya later this month for the 5th recording. This is a small video. I don't know, the sound doesn't seem to be working, but this is just a small idea of how the recording in the field happens. So maybe if you can play the video from your side. No? Oh, great. Okay. Okay, what are some of the, as I close on my presentation, what are some of the anticipated impacts of this project? So, as I stated earlier, it's part of a larger idea and a larger desire to transform the way we deliver on the mandate and to change the perception of Bomas of Kenya as an institution and as a brand. It's also going to allow us to upscale the museology part of our mandate. We believe it's going to have a positive impact also on the attraction of new audiences and, of course, effectively be beneficial for the institution's revenue generation. We're also quite keen on strengthening the existing cultural networks and the existing partnership we have in the cultural and creative sector. And we hope the project will also open new avenues for youth creativity. So basically, we're talking about 3 pillars of the project. So one of them being innovation, which is, I think, something that's self-explanatory. The other of them being sustainability. And the third one being global outreach and marketability. There's an ongoing discussion and debate in Kenya about the identity of Kenyan music. And when you have conversations with contemporary musicians, a lot of you will tell you that it is not that they wouldn't want to inspire themselves with Kenyan traditional music. It is that they don't necessarily have access to information about this music. They don't have necessarily an opportunity to do research themselves or to document this sound themselves. So we are hoping by allowing them to interact with this creative and interactive installation, it will encourage them to incorporate more of the traditional melodies and sounds in their contemporary creation. And optimally, I believe that is what is going to make Kenyan music stand out on a global market. That's what we are talking about, global outreach and marketability. So we're talking about 3 target audiences that are going to especially benefit from this project. One is definitely the local practitioners. Aside from a simple element of being compensated for your participation in the project, we also hope that this is going to valorize their practice and expose them to a bigger, larger audience. Also talking about the young urban-based musicians, as I said, you know, an opportunity to rediscover our musical heritage, and definitely children. And hopefully that fun experience will encourage more of them to venture into music later in life. The long-term impacts of the project include the improved product offer in terms of cultural tourism products, evidently the incorporation of digital technology, improved attractiveness of Nairobi as a destination, because you're also constantly considering how do we make Nairobi stand out and not just be a landing strip where tourists pass through and go to the beaches of Mombasa and to the safaris of Masai Mara. How can we, through cultural and creative industries, create content in this city that will attract and sustain attention of foreign audiences as well? Which of course means the increased patronage of tourists, preservation of tangible and intangible cultural heritage, and increased tourism sustainability. So I want to close this presentation with some questions that does necessarily have I don't have necessarily an answer to. Some of them will be answered further down the line once the project is fully up and running. So we've been asking ourselves, okay, these are the things we've said we want to achieve, and these are the impacts that we are targeting, but how will we know, and at which point will we know whether that long-term impact is actually there? maybe in a period of 3 to 5 years into the project once it's up and running. So other benefits for the local community is actually going to be visible and impactful. So is somebody going to be able to, through the sample by table, let's say cost, identify that this Chivoti pattern or this Chivoti flute sample would be interesting for me in my contemporary music production, and maybe somebody has Beyonce, I'm joking of course, through that interaction, try and go and look for this musician actually, and improve his livelihood and involve him in other projects over and above sample bar. Yeah, and is it really going to create a shift in the contemporary music creativity in Kenya? Those are the questions we're asking ourselves, yeah? Finally, can the sample bar Kenya actually ensure a continuum between the physical and the digital space of creativity? So that is all from me today. Thank you so much. If time allows, I would say between questions and interactions with the table, maybe moderator, you can decide whether you allow people to interact first or ask questions first.
Yeah, are there any questions, or do you want to try first?
Questions. So maybe we do questions, and then and then people can try it out themselves. Sure. Welcome.
Thank you for that insightful presentation. So I think my question is, will the sample boxes be limited just to Nairobi, or have you planned to have them in different areas in the country? Because I think it would be of added value if we could have a sample box from where each of the instruments were extracted, to maybe even have more samples of the specific instruments. It would encourage the local community probably. Yeah.
Okay. Would you like us to take a few before I answer, or do I just answer to her? Yeah? Okay. So at this phase of the project, the main installation is going to be based in Nairobi. However, there is also a portable version of the same table, okay, which is going to be kind of a mishmash of samples from different regions, which is going to allow us to travel around the country and go back to the communities that participated in its development and also showcase it. I don't know if that answers your question. Then the other good thing about digital technology is that, it's that in the end, yes, the installation has its limitations in terms of the number of instruments and so on and so forth. But in the end, the digital archive can be expanded into infinity, So if there's anything that we have omitted and there is additional instruments, other samples that we may discover later in the future, they can still be recorded and incorporated into the archive. So, yeah.
So it's open system, and as I see it, it confirms my words from last week about humans as art species, or no, how I say it, playful animals, and art skills animals. So we have both ability to create and ability to enjoy the game.
The game, yes.
The play.
I think there's a question there, all the way in the back.
Federico.
Thank you very much. I'm Federico Bardazzi from Conservatorio Puccini La Spezia, Italy. And as Italian staff of this project, we are together with Opera Network Florence, and we worked a lot on the sampling of historical instruments, of course, particularly of Middle Age, European Middle Age and Baroque period. So it means, for example, some instruments such as regale, Baroque harp, Baroque organ and harpsichord, and many others. I don't want now to bother you with this, but we have a very large library of these instruments that we normally use with either electronic wind instruments and keyboards, as we did here in our performance last Wednesday. The question is also for the team, I don't know, because maybe the Swedish team is already doing something like this. Are you already sampling these instruments, or are you in the opinion to do it, or not? This is not your, because of course we will be here again in 2024 for the second step in Kenya of our project. So as I told in many meetings, we are at disposal to share knowledges and opinions and possibilities to cooperate in this specific field. This is the first question, maybe another one later.
Okay, so I believe this is an open invitation to Libido Music to develop the same installation in Italy. That's how I interpreted it. So maybe if you can take the question, Hakan.
And I guess the answer is yes. However, we have an agreement with Bomas of Kenya that in Kenya we only work with Bomas when it comes to using this technology in the purpose of safeguarding or working with cultural heritage. But otherwise, we're open for business.
Yeah, I believe they've already started looking into other African countries, which this similar project can be implemented. And the initial, I don't know if you were there at the beginning of the presentation, the initial installation was in Sweden, and it was based on classical instruments. So I don't see why it wouldn't be possible to do so also in other countries. So it's a very interesting and creative way of documenting music and also making music of the past interact with contemporary music and with electronic music and with, so yeah, please do exchange contacts. Go ahead, go for it.
Sorry if I take 2 minutes more, but it's my field, so it's very interesting for me. Of course, it's not here the moment to deep this debate about the relation between the, I would say, ethnomusicology and the real original traditions, I would say, of an area like this or many others in the world. Because, for example, in Italy we have a region very near Florence in Arezzo where they still sing like maybe thousands of years ago. So it's something which is common in many parts of the world. This is underlined because too many times we think that as we are in Africa, we have to preserve everywhere because the traditions have been all over the world. So this is also something we have in common, I think, no? Yes, this is the first point. But what we should think, and this is a process we are going to do with Priscilla Gitonga, we have this as a process for next year before coming back, is what does it mean to preserve, what does it mean to interact, what does it mean to cooperate without losing identity? Because I give an example, we have many friends in Greece, for example, or maybe in Turkey we don't have here partners, but I like very much Greek pop music because they preserved in this pop music somehow the heritage of the traditional music. This didn't happen in Italy for many reasons. One is because Italy is very open, and so the American, I would say, cultural industry after the Second War jumped very, very deeply. So I think that we should share the directions of the research. One is, I would say, more ethnomusicologist and preserve, which is really original. And this is very important, of course. But the other is also to understand points of interaction, development. I want to say hybridization, but everything is hybrid in the world because it's moving. If you see the Cathedral of Florence, the first stones were 1,500 years before the actual shape of the cathedral, no? So it's a stratification in all the culture, as it is also in music. So we cannot say I have to destroy the Cathedral of Florence because the original is 1,500 years before. So it's a question. I don't want to say it's something we can solve now, but I would like to underline this because my friends from Kenyatta University, sometimes I feel that you are too much afraid that to lose what is in your hands. Even if you change, if you accept stratification, it's still in your hands because it's part of you. Sorry if I say this, but I felt this since many days, and we discussed with the Lajadong and the guys of the choir. So we should think about all these things. And I'm very available to cooperate to do this. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Well, what I can say in response to that is that I believe in Bomas we operate from the perspective, from the idea that tradition is ever evolving. So even if we have to say traditional music or tradition, at which moment in time or at which historical specific time will we position ourselves and say, this was the original way of doing it. And then from 53, it is no longer original because it's slightly changed. So traditional is continuously evolving. And every time we do research, every time we go into the field and interact with communities, you will find that this tradition is evolving even in the community context, you know. So it's not just about us, you know, having a professional dance company, you know, and staging it and making it look like this or like that. You know, it is also in the communities. You'll find it very interesting that through this project, on one side, we have been able to establish that, unfortunately, some of these things are really dying out. So it is not a fake concern. There is an actual, genuine concern that some instruments we cannot even find anyone to play, or we can no longer find them. By the way, this is an open call for anyone who knows a musician who plays the traditional Kikuyu mutoriru flute, because we have not found one. But some instruments, on the other hand, we are discovering. You know, an organization that has been there for 50 years doing this thing is discovering and finding out for the first time certain instruments, you know. So yeah, I agree with you. Tradition is ever evolving and we shouldn't limit ourselves and be, you know, like, okay, save this the way it is, you see. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much.
Has a question.
I know, but we need to keep a kind of schedule, you know. So I see the field of research is really widely open, and I hope that Federico and all of you who are interested in this kind of discussion, you will follow them. But I would like to abandon the words and let's interact.
Yeah.
If
so
it's
maybe
possible.
what we can do, if the interaction can happen at low volume, some other people can still continue asking questions, yeah? So since we are so many of us, I think Hakan and Preben can handle the installation. I can still ask a question or two in the parallel. Yeah, so welcome. Those of you who want to try the sample bar, this is the time.
Yeah, we have approximately 5-6 minutes, so do not hesitate too
please,
long.
Don't hesitate. If you want to come and discover it, to go ahead.
Okay,
In the
and
meantime,
in the
maybe one or
meanwhile
two
we
questions
can,
at the same time. Yeah, get up. Go for it.
Thank you. My question has to do with ensuring representativeness. You've just mentioned that you've completed recordings of for 4 regions.
Yes.
And of course, this is very important in terms of preserving. And you've mentioned actually we're losing a lot of these particular of traditional instruments. So my worry is about representativeness, because sometimes we tend to represent. I've seen that in different fields. For instance, like the Bible was translated into Kikuyu, and it catered for the Embu and the Meru, and you have communities very small, minuscule, like the Walalas in Coast, who are presented as part of Taita, even in terms of culture.
Yes.
You have the Luyas presented as a homogeneous community, so that when it comes to instruments, somebody will think of the Shikuti. But there are 18 dialects. How did you ensure that you obtained, you are able to cover all the instruments in the 18 regions of, yes, among the Ma, we have the Molos presented as part of the Maet, they are not. We have minuscule communities composed of like 4,300 people. How did you ensure representativeness? Because sometimes we just use blanket terms.
Yeah, so as I said, definitely the technology itself also has its own limitations, because as you can imagine, if there were 130 blocks for each table, that would be cacophony of sounds. That would not be music anymore. That would be too chaotic. But what we do is, I believe for every region we have covered all the major ethnic communities. For some of the regions that you're mentioning, we haven't actually yet arrived there. But let me use the example of Western Kenya. So Western Kenya, we started from the Uganda border. So we started with I think we started with the Banyala. Yeah, we started with the Banyala and the Samia. Then we went to the part of the Bukusu, right? The Bukusu, then we went to the Isuha and the Idaho, then we went to, we try our best to encompass the whole diversity. But of course, as I keep saying, even as we are learning in the process, and it's a never ending, you know? So what we are hoping also, and that's why we are talking of the project sustainability, is that before the project cycle, let's call it, runs out, and the Swedish team is, gone back to do other projects, there is a strong component of capacity building also. So training local technicians and engineers on how this thing operates and how it's done, So in the future, as I'm saying, we can continue expanding the archive, So at some point eventually, maybe not all of them will be able to play at the same time, but we can have recordings of those other elements and maybe in the future replace, like you omit this block and now for the following 3 years you replace it with a different block, and so on and so forth. So yeah, there is definitely an effort to try and encompass everyone. That's something that we work even on other projects. We always work with that idea. We have a repertoire of 56 traditional dances in Bomas, and we are nowhere when it comes to covering the whole country. There's still so much to be done, So actually right now we are focusing, as you're mentioning, mainly on minority communities and those communities that are, how do I call it, recently recognized, like the example, one of the recent projects we worked on was the Abasuba, who have forever been identified with the laws, which is completely wrong, when the Makonde were recognized as one of Kenya's ethnic communities in 2018, we did a Makonde projects, so we're always trying. Yeah, it's a never-ending process, and I don't think we can ever finish this repertoire of different genres and music, so I hope I've answered your question. We are not perfect, but we are trying. Thank you.
I'm very sorry for interrupting you. I want to thank the guys from Sweden, and I want to thank especially Kahita Kiru for her interesting talk, explanation, what is running on Bombas of Kenya. Please, I want to hear some noise. There is a discussion running if they can stay longer, and you will you will have opportunity to interact with the device. But we should move on with our program, and now it's time for a talk about technical visuality enhancing e-commerce traction for fashion MSES, whatever it means. Okay, explanation was done. I welcome our speaker, actually two of them. You only. Okay, so Jacqueline Kisato from Kenyatta University. Yeah, this is it. So. Let me check.
These are the points.
Yeah, this is correct.
Thank you. So thank you very much. It is such pressure to present after you. Give me a few minutes, let me set up.
So now we are ready. Jacqueline, welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. My name is Jackie Kisato. I am from the Department of Fashion Design and Marketing, Kenyatta University. And my colleague is Dr. Byron Price from Medgar University in the US. He's not going to be with us physically, so I present the team. Today's talk is going to be on technological visuality. How do we enhance e-commerce traction for fashion micro, small enterprises? The outline of my presentation The outline of my presentation is I'll start with a basic introduction, and I'll focus specifically on the young people among us, the Gen Z, because they love the internet. Then we'll look at what is happening in the fashion e-commerce retailing, what technologies are shaping fashion consumption, especially in developed countries. Then we'll address a framework that has been proposed on how technology is adopted or utilized in different fields. Then we'll ask the question, are micro and small enterprises able to use that technology within the Kenyan ecosystem? Finally, we will have the discussion where we're talking about sustainability. If we choose to go massive, are we going to enhance sustainability in the fashion industry? Okay, this seems to be a bit slow. All right, there we are. So basically, by introduction, visual technologies can promote customer engagement. And this process helps you to understand and deliver value to your customer. And we can see many researchers have looked at this aspect. Digital channels have been adopted for business to customer, and customer to customer across the world. The 21st century has given us visual technologies that help you to get into immersive situations like virtual reality presented by different people, augmented reality,
visual artificial intelligence, and so on. And all these facilitate an interaction with whatever product or service you're interested in so that you can shop or buy from any geolocation. But then the question that we need to ask ourselves is this technology adopted into the fashion space? And how is it being used by the micro and small enterprise within the Kenyan economy? Because that enterprise cannot afford the Oculus kind of gadgets we saw around here. And then how do we offer recommendation so that the massive space will be one to help us create sustainability? Right, so the Gen Z is the first group we have to talk about. Today, they reported that on average, this young generation take about 120 pictures per week. Somehow they're on Instagram, they're on Facebook, they're on Pinterest, they're on Twitter. And for that reason, whenever they want to go shopping, their stop point is online. They will go around and they will scroll their phones, they will click and they will buy, and they'll follow the latest influencers on Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram, give comments, read comments, and that's their life. Now we know people like Kim Kardashian have made a life and a living out of this. This kind of generation has created a digital habitus that has led to a different way of consuming fashion. For those who are older in the group, when you were consuming fashion, our idea was to plan a Saturday, go shopping, take the whole day looking at different shops. Not with this young generation. They will scroll and buy their items at a click if they can. In Africa, and in Kenya particularly, technology leapfrogged. We started from the desktop, we skipped the iPads and the laptops and moved to the mobile phone. So our way of purchasing is mobile phone purchase. We pay through M-Pesa as one of our digital money platforms, and we talk a lot on social media. I have always asked my students, what in heaven's name do you say from 8 in the morning to midnight the next day on social media? But they do have stuff they talk about. In a highly competitive fashion market, what do Kenyan designers do? And if you've been to Nairobi, for those who are visitors, every single stop, somebody's selling something fashion. How do those micro enterprises create traction in their businesses? Allow me to introduce you to a basic study, it's still loading, there it is, that was done by Deloitte in 2019. They project by 2030, fashion will be a 3.3 trillion industry. But we have an insta-age kind of group of people and technology where once you see it on a catwalk, you want to wear it the next day. This is why companies like Zara have become great fashion marketers, because of the pushing of the item faster into the customers' retail shops. Social media has become the platform where you get views and comments before you purchase anything. The I generation is seeking to stand out. They do not like wearing garments that have been worn by other people. They like being unique and bespoke in their approach. But mass production is being questioned because they don't want to have everything that everyone is wearing in their different wardrobes. Now, the graph on the right, I believe, it's going to show you some interesting attributes, which was data collected by Deloitte & Touche in 2019. And their question was, what are the primary inspirations or influences of apparel purchases for different countries? They categorized developing and developed countries. Of interest, look at the in-store purchase. Developing countries are 23%, developed countries at 43%. Scroll down and look at e-commerce and website. Developing countries at 32%, developed countries at 30%. You can see we are competing relatively, but of interest is influencer social media. At 38%, the Gen Z will be influenced by anyone to wear what they're wearing. Developed countries seem to have their mind set on what they prefer, so influencer is not getting to them as much. And then finally, social media. 41% of this generation will be impacted by what social media says about a particular garment, but developed country is at 17%. So with this kind of data, you can understand how digital platforms are playing a role in fashion consumption in our African countries. There is a lot of scholars have tried to look at how are we adopting technology for different uses. And I will choose to use Moyad Al-Shwana, who propounded this kind of framework in 2021, where he says any technology has a user, the user
even though
has
you
abilities,
know that you're on a
and in
selection process
context,
and you
they
think
pick the
what's the
IT
worst that they can do,
that has a known
it's so
use,
cleverly
and
done,
they create a known affordance
and
or
you're
a
so
known use for
mentally
it.
fatigued,
They actualize it,
your
and
mind doesn't
eventually
even know what
they
it's
use
doing.
this to perpetuate or move their businesses or their
There are
products
strict
or whatever
rules
else they're
governing the
using
interrogation
IT
phase of
platform
selection.
for. So if you look at
The
this, you
recruits
can now understand how African youth are playing around with technology. Their abilities
Monitored
maybe
round
not
the
as
clock
fancy
by a
on
team of
technology in terms of
psychologists
laptops,
and doctors.
but the mobile phone is the tool of trade.
Before it begins, they're given a medical
So
check.
which technologies
Recruiter level,
have
do you
been used in
recognise me?
fashion globally?
Yes, sir. I'm a medical doctor.
AI is
I
a
cannot
big
be impersonated at any time.
Robotics,
Are you fit
intelligent
and well enough to
manufacturing
continue?
is
Yes, sir.
pushing fashion
I like to push
at
myself
a
outside my comfort
very
zone.
fast rate
And I
in
think
most
that when you-
manufacturing companies. We have artificial intelligence, we have sensors, we have computing power that is enabling you to make fashion the way you want it and the designs you want in the best possible times. So companies are adopting this. AI is also moving to the shopping experience where you can go online and it analyzes your behavior, it knows how you purchase, it analyzes your data, it analyzes where you go to, then it forecasts the fashions for the next generation. AI can also be used in supply management and how we are going to be purchasing different fashion items over time. So which companies globally and international ones are using AI? There is one company, British American, it's called Stitch Fix. They create for you an automated wardrobe and planning tool. You no longer have to lay your clothes on the bed on Monday morning to decide I'm wearing this or that. Now you have it all automated. And then there's TrueFit, which employs online fit engine that helps you as a user find the adequate fit of any item you're interested in. I'm sure most of us have bought fashion and you have to go to a seamstress or a tailor to adjust something. Now this time around, you can get it made to fit for you if you use the AI platforms. If you are buying wholesale, you don't have to go to a warehouse and look through racks of clothes. Companies like Tommy Hilfiger and Gucci have created digital showrooms. A room like this, you select what you like, you match what you like, and then you just order it online and it's delivered to you. These digital showrooms have created immersive kind of environments and of course sustainability because you order what you want. Technologies like AI have also been used to predict future fashion, and a startup called Heuretic has applied this kind of technology to look at the pictures you look at, the colors you look at, the attributes of fabric you look at, and then they predict what fashion will be like in the next century or in the next week or the next season, and they use that to come up with the next fashion for that season. Now, we cannot speak about technology without touching the Internet of Things. The embeddedness of the different technology to help it communicate through the internet is what is used by a lot of companies in their production, in their workplaces. In the fashion industry, smart clothing, wearable spaces, multifunction designs are being applied. I have looked around and I've seen a number of you have smartwatches, like our moderator for the season, and that tells him a lot about the different things he's looking for within his environment. So which companies are using this? There is a yoga pant company called NadiX, which is going to sense if your yoga pose is not good, and it vibrates to keep you in the right pose. There is a company, Mota Digital Marketing, Influencers, YouTube, and Search Engine Optimization. The last example is a company I have a soft spot for. This young man, who you see also on the other side, is called Kevin. He was a student in Kenyatta University 2016. I taught him undergraduate. And now he owns a company where we take our students for a practicum. And Kevin decided to form this kind of company where he customizes suits, hoodies, dresses with an African print. And he uses a lot of digital marketing, but his greatest way of getting a footprint is social influencers who push his brand and a lot of social media. So ladies and gentlemen, the question is, if we have to make fashion sustainable, how can we use the immersive technologies to build sustainability within the fashion industry. Already we've seen it's a 2.5 trillion kind of industry, employing 75 million people. And this is going to double as population increases. The fashion production is unfortunately eliminating 10% of the human carbon emission. We are drying rivers, we are polluting water streams with our dyes, and 85% of what you buy to look fancy, you dump it within a year. Approximately 60% of what we are wearing has plastic components in it, therefore not biodegradable. These micro enterprises can also have a revenue stream where they sell digital clothes and reduce all this pollution we are creating on our planet. Ladies and gentlemen, I think immersive technologies are going to create an environmental and social impact that will reduce waste and consumption of fashion that we don't need. And this is the case for immersive technologies for e-commerce traction in micro and small enterprises. Thank you very much. I will take your questions now.
This is Jacqueline Isato from Kyoto University. She's simply amazing. Let's open the question and answer part. Open.
Do you think that in parallel to dressing avatars, as my friend just concluded on your presentation, there is a way in which influencers or other stakeholders in the fashion industry could induce Gen Z to reuse their own clothes, to fix them, to change them, to let one garment live for a long time, especially as you remarked, this generation is interested in originality, and instead of changing the item, changing its identity throughout the life cycle, like it used to be in the 19th century, for example. Do you think there is a chance for that?
Okay. Thank you for that excellent question. Now, this is where, unfortunately, we might have to talk about the tension between business and ethics. So the influencer is most likely paid by a business entity. They're pushing a product to make the highest profit so that they can get the highest commission. Would they be looking at reducing patches? They might tread that very carefully. However, if there's a brand that is pushing better, long-lasting garments that are in themselves, shall we say, remodifiable, then perhaps the Gen Z might look at that as an option to purchase that kind of garment. I hope I've given you my perspective on what I think in that area. Thank you.
Recycling, or let's say the environmental cost being reduced, but have you done any sort of analysis for the amount of data that will be consumed and the amount of pollution that will be generated by the switching of fashions from sort of the current environment and the current production environment to this virtual world, into this virtual commerce business model?
Okay, if I get your question right,
it's about the energy cost for computing. Yeah, I mean, computing itself is, computing power takes a lot of energy costs. I'm just curious as to whether there's been a cost-benefit analysis, let's say.
That is an excellent question, and I think food for thought for me. In the next kind of presentations, I will argue what is the cost-benefit analysis or the trade-off between going digital and making it physical. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you. I think the question she'd asked you, with the current Gen Z's adoption of trends and being conscious of the environment, which happens to be a little bit more than previously. Do you think if a brand was to actually consider trashing stuff to be off, it's going to be adopted more by the Gen Z? Because like right now, we know the big money is talk about a global change, a global whatever, those big issues. Do you think a brand adopting that would help to really benefit from the ones who are being influenced by what's going on?
Okay, good question. According to reports, and these are reports from different media stations, they claim a lot of brands say they are actually recycling, upcycling, reducing waste, but it is a greenwashing technique to look right within the business space. Because the trade-off between making money and being ethical is a very challenging kind of place to be as a business. At the end of the day in business, they look at bottom line. So perhaps if the world of business is going to be considering impact more important than bottom line, that might be something fashion enterprises will consider. But brands like Zara want to sell. So it's really tricky, and I don't have a right answer, but I will think about it and get back to you. Thank you.
So on the case studies, most of them have talked about social media. Do you think in Kenya and in Africa we can apply the application of VR, AR, and artificial intelligence on MSCs, considering, like, you know, they don't use a lot of money in it? So can you apply the AR and VRs on MSCs?
Okay, good question. And it's very challenging to stand here and get to ask questions by your own students. But that said, indeed, what I am trying to propose to our partners in the project is if we can come together in an academic sphere and look at how we can leapfrog from the very expensive kind of technology, like we did with the mobile phone, to VR AI that is suitable for a micro small enterprise in an African environment, then we will have created tools that can be used by this kind of market. And also, we will have given a way of reducing consumption and coming up with immersive fashion that will help save our planet. So I'm thinking that is a question to challengers. Can we come up with all the multidisciplinary approaches and create that kind of tool that is affordable to a micro and small enterprise?
Thank you, Dr. for that interesting presentation. So my question is, you have alluded, or not alluded, but stated a number of facts that Gen Z are very much attracted to a fast-changing environment. Do you think that this is something that will be able to be replicated or achieved by virtual reality? Like, I would want to know, do you think it would be like, for example, if you're, in a virtual reality space, you're shopping, would they be able to have a quick turnaround to keep changing the environment such that it's relevant for Gen Z each time?
Okay, good question. Will the virtual reality environments have a quick turnaround to accommodate the Gen Z kind of bespoke appetite? I guess those are one of those questions I will say, like Brutus, it's all in the stars. I don't have a right answer yet, but I'll carry out research and get back to you. Thank you.
So the last speaker of this session should be Jarosław Solecki. The talk should be delivered online, so I'm asking Jarosław if he is present. Jarosław? Do you hear us?
Yes. I can hear you.
Perfect.
Can you hear me?
Yes, absolutely. Can you try to share the presentation?
I think time from the dystopian imitation series. The first work in the collection dates from 21-22, had the same title as the whole series, Dystopian Imitation, and was created as part of a project funded by Art Council in England. Before I move on the presentation of my newest work, I will talk briefly about the idea behind the series and the first work belonging to it, in order to give you insight in the whole project. The artworks in this collection are part of the digital world, but they are created above all within the framework of the objectives set by concept lines. Indeed, the results of my artistic activities involves, in addition to evoke aesthetic experience, a strong influence of a given concept and cultural associations on the creation of reception of the work of art. For me, digital objects become the matter from which a work of art is created, like stone or clay for sculptor, or paint or canvas for painter. This perspective opens up again questions about the possibilities of representing art as such, or the meaning of an artwork created in the context of combining an artistic process with an algorithm. These are also ontological questions about the mode of existence of artistic digital objects. In the Dystopia of Imitation series, I have taken the view of that the art of algorithmic sequences is a particular kind of artistic activity in which the creative potential of the dystopia of imitation can be revealed. I understand dystopia as the originally unwanted disintegration of an object in a virtual space when attempting to create its digital representations, namely scans. The initial assumption of an idea representation is subject to numerous metamorphoses, which are filtered not only by the specifics of digital technology, but above all by the artist's own personality. Aesthetic representations of objects during data transmission are generated by means of performative actions of billions of algorithmic operations per second. Although dystopian formation is created on the basis of those, at the same time, through association it reveals its power to create new artistic works. Dystopia of Imitations collection. The works included in the Dystopia of Imitation series are based on scans of random
This is the DJ Cravey.
There are items of various sizes and
follow on Facebook and Instagram at DJ Cravey.
Out of context items from public space, a hydrant, a road sign, used detergent packaging, etc. They create a collection of digital equivalents of real objects, which then serve an aesthetic matter for me to create art objects. Inspired by Johannes Vermeer, for the first work in this collection, titled like the series itself, Dystopia of Imitation, I selected a cheap Chinese mug with Dutch buttons. After scanning it, I attempted to resculpt it in a virtual space in the context of a specific conceptual
and then to transfer this object into a 3D exhibition room as part of the virtual installation. The exhibition room itself, created by me specifically for this exhibition, also became part of the performative installation. Thanks to a sequence of associations, the structure of the sculpture wall, I arrived at the painting of Vermeer and his famous work Merkmaid. From this Baroque painting, I chose the picture as the main object of inspiration. From the schemata of the classic Dutch mark, based on 3D sculpting, I created a picture referring directly to the one from Vermeer's painting. In this way, my post-conceptual work was created. More information you can find on the Bluepoint Art Gallery website. One of the digital realities in which my versions of Vermeer's picture from the Dystopian Imitation series also appears is a blockchain Ethereum. My artistic search for a means of expressions expanded as I learned more about how to the various interactions of metaverse, but also Web3 work. That's where the development of this first part of the project ended. I made it into a collection of NFTs. Bernini and his masterpieces. My newest installation, based on a
subscribe, follow and like your DJ on YouTube, Instagram and Facebook page at DJ Craving.
Refers to the Bernini's famous sculpture, and not only by direct reference on the title. To give a further concept of the background of my inspiration, first a few words about the Italian artist and his work. Looking at the works of Gian Lorenzo Bernini, considered the most outstanding 17th century artist, it is not difficult to say he was not interested in depicting figures in their majesty and solemnity in his sculpture. The artist achieved a static figurativeness in favor of depicting a key moment in the happening, as in his ecstasy of sometimes, or a moment just before the plot is resolved, as in his David. He portrays figures in the performative act when a decision has been made by them, often even already realized. Thus, Bernini's portrait busts were called talking sculptures, and his realizations at times evoke in viewers a sense of committing with a kind of alternative reality that seems more real than the living model. When Bernini created a portrait of Pedro de Montoya, so realistic that all who saw it stunned. Cardinal Montefiore Barberini, later Pope Urban VIII, remarked, greetings the noble Montoya, this is a portrait of Monsignor Montoya. Then turning to the bust, he introduced, and this is a Monsignor Montoya itself. Bernini's sculptures depict the moment, one would say, after the film club. The artist animates the viewer in a matter of familiar to us from contemporary theatre or opera. Those others aim for maximum audience involvement. This association is not coincidental. One of the artist's passions was theatrical plays. He not only wrote them and designed sets for them, but also performed in them. A similar type of tendency to think of space as a multi-level immersive whole that it undertakes in dialogue with the viewer is also present in his sculpture and architecture realizations. Bernini's extraordinary sense of the forms of the human body and brilliant technical skills make it easy to forget that his sculptures are made of stone. Bernini achieves this through dynamic composition, the use of different types of texture, the play of light and shadow, the graduation of details and the composition of materials. He designed living scenes in which sculptures are happening before the viewer eyes. Bernini aimed to create a so-called total work of art, in which the tenderness he mentioned would take precedence. To create in all other words a masterpiece simultaneously overpowering and refined in its gentleness. Animated by emotions and captured in dynamic compositions, Bernini arrangements can be interpreted on many different levels. It is not longer a visual experience per se, but an invitation to play intellectual games and create one's own metaphors. This invitation draws the viewer into interaction and immersion uncommon in the art of the time. Bernini's masterpiece gives us a broad perspective on how we can interpret reality and create new artistic worlds from it. His works are unique in their multi-level and complexity. Therefore, I believe they can be seen as
subscribe, follow and like a DJ on YouTube, Instagram and Facebook page at DJ Craving.
An example of the viewers' immersive involvement in the receptions of art is Bernini's Ecstasy of Saint Teresa, which inspired my video installation. This sculptural formation was created in 1645 and it is a centerpiece of an almost theatrical chapel decoration in the church of Santa Maria della Vittoria in Rome. It was made of marble and represents one of the ecstatic visions of Saint Teresa. Shows a reformer of the Carmelite order and lived from 1515 to 1582. She was known for her mystical and at the time controversial, bordering on erotic, extremely intimate experiences, which she wrote down in her autobiography. During her lifetime, Teresa was accused of connections with Satan, and cases were established against her before the Inquisition Court, only to be canonized in later years. The moment of a woman's near-erotic ecstasy is depicted by Bernini in his masterpiece, which goes beyond the understanding of sculpture in this is in his style. Not only does the formation of work closely with the architecture, using a play of illusions and colorful scenographic effects, but it also builds a unique relationship with the audience. The artist involves most physically or exhausting the viewer to leave him or her stand under the impression of communing with a total masterpiece of art. From serve to emphasize the metaphorical representation of the mystical epiphany. At the same time as we began to contemplate the moment of Saint Teresa ecstasy, the rest of the installation seems to be disappearing, leaving us in a solitary relationship with the almost non-human artistry of the marble sculpture. I would like to invite you now to take a look at my installation, which on the one hand refers to totality of man's creations, and on the other to the ecstasy that nature can bring to us.
Bwana wa viumbe vyote, muumba mbingu na dunia, twakuomba kwa unyenyekevu utupe hekima na busara, sisi waja wako tuliokusanyika hapa. Uibariki Tanzania iwe nchi ya amani, na wote wanaoishi humo wawe na upendo halisi na Mungu.
connection still, yes?
Yes, I can hear you.
You're ready for a question and answer part?
Yes, please.
Feel free to ask.
Umesema ndivyo litakavyokuwa, neno lako litokalo kinywani mwako halitarudi bure, bali litatimiza mapenzi yako yaliyolituma. Umesema utakuwa pamoja nami na kunifundisha nitakalo neno lile utakalo litia kinywani mwangu, hilo
Maybe I didn't get it, so please explain more on this.
Yes, thank you for this question. Objectives of love. As I tried to explain in the first in this talk, I made a lot of scans. That was the first idea of dystopian imitation series. And some of these scans just, I don't know how to say, just quick with some kind of metaphoric associations. And this shape, this shape of this scan was just connected me with this sculpture of Berlin, because it's very similar. This is I cannot say objective of that. This is very subject in this video. Yeah, so all these scans through the title, give them the title. They make a metaphoric linkage to different topics, different realities. And for the dystopia of imitation, I chose this, which direct me into the art itself, different topics of art. So if I'm an artist, so most of these associations will be to art.
Okay, thank you. We have another question from Jose.
Hello, Yaroslav. I have some technical questions to ask you.
Hey! What's going on
First
here?
one is, does this installation seen in virtual environment
Where are we going?
headset, or it's to be seen in augmented reality? That is the first question. The second question is, have you scanned it with photogrammetry or with a digital scan, 3D digital scan? And then
Representing all the clubs and parties in the 254. This is Beat DJ Craving, the music flavor.
Thank
Keep
you
it
for
locked.
this question. I scan it
DJ
with
Craving.
very simple technology. It is a smartphone and app on it. So this is not very perfect. This is not perfect. This is sometimes the scans are completely different than the object scanned. So they are very easy to just fire another associations with that. I'm not focused on having something for real put into virtual space and make it perfect, like the real thing. The first installation you saw can be seen in a virtual space. For example, one part of it, one version of it exists in CryptoVox's metaverse. CryptoVoxes allow you to see this world through VR glasses or AR glasses. Another phase of this exists in a spatial metaverse, which as well allow you to see this through this technology and this interface. And my installation, so gallery room, hasn't got this. This is I think you can see through the web browser following the link. Yeah, so that's it. So you are seeing one slide many phases of this project, which some exist. It was put to different metaverses as I tried to research the specific matter I can scout.
DJ Craving.
So I was searching for this matter in the virtual world. So that's why I put it into different systems, different metaverses, and you can see them in the virtual space also.
Okay, thank you so much. As we are pretty delayed in our program, with our program, I will close this Q&A if there's no need to. No, okay. So thank you so much, Yaroslav.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
And after one technical break needed for installation of computer environment by CD Neo, we will continue with the ending keynote, concluding keynote lecture. So please be patient. We will be ready soon, I guess.
Dropping all your favorites. DJ Craving, live in the mix. This is the DJ Craving on the wheels of steel. Follow on Facebook and Instagram at DJ Craving.
Okay, we are ready to start. This is Michał Ostrowicki, academician from Jagiellonian University in Krakow, Poland. The talk is VR art as a new kind of art in the metaverse.
Dropping all your favorites. DJ Craving live in the mix.
You're welcome into reality. So that in physical space and virtual one. That is the old virtual world, the second life. But I hope we will have a journey from one to another virtual world. We will see if it will be technically possible. Nevertheless, I would like to say a little bit at the beginning about electronic or new media art. Of course, the most important subject virtual. So that we have one person, my friend from Academia Electronica, person who is friend also of Academia Electronica, because we are here in the non-institutionalized part of Jagiellonian University when we hold
subscribe, follow, and like the DJ on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook page at DJ Craving.
So that Dr. Romak and Nautinka Lisle appeared in Second Life. They are volunteers, but they construct, support, and help me with Academia Electronica. But what they do? I would like to say a few about, as I said before, electronic media art. But after, if it will be technically possible, we will move to the art space VR, and also if it will be possible to the spatial, because art space VR will be shut down at 10 March. So that we need to move Academia Electronica and also ourselves to the next electronic world. The main directions new media art, it is of course virtual art. It is the main subject of our presentation, of our analysis, and we will talk about it in a few words in the near future. Also monitoring art that is connected with idea of surviving, of freedom, of the free space. Artists are very interested in such ideas and phenomena, so that they interested in art of artificial intelligence. And here we have many subjects, examples and ideas which are connected with artificial intelligence, so that it is presentation 150 slides, for example, if you will want to talk about it. Also connected with idea of artificial intelligence as a kind of mind, of conscious, taking into account the philosophy of, for example, David Chalmers and his universal theory of intelligence or consciousness. While art is very interesting and hybrid, also there we can describe transgenic art with the genome, tissue art, and so on and so on. A very contemporary subject we can interest in it. Also net art, post-internet art. The difference is that net art is a little bit elder, so that is the beginning of post-internet art, which is hybrid, so that net art is completely in the net, but post-internet art is hybrid, so that has a part in the net and virtual and part in physical space. Also GPS art as in the area of augmented reality, satellite art, but here is not too much examples, maybe 5, 10, few years ago, maybe 4 or 5, there was the first satellite from the artist from Tokyo, when they sent artistic satellite in the space. Also video art with the big history, and we are talking about history of film, history of animation, interactive video, installation video, so that today we can talk about material which is from physical space and also generated. Computer animation, it is also very important contemporary area, sphere of interest. Electronic music, it is really fantastic, because we can talk about music from ambient art, for example, noise, or some samples and artificial sounds, also about musical interfaces, so that we can have keyboard, we have oscillators, we have synthesizers which are completely virtual without physical elements, physical instruments. And also we can talk about device art, interface art, device art, for example, is art which is not complete, and so the artist would like to show something, some ideas or some technology, but it should not to be complete in the end. So we are at the moon in this moment. It is one of the lecture hall in Academia Electronica. We got here 7 or 8 lecture halls, but we can visit, but we have no time to move the avatar and so on and so on. Nevertheless, I choose the moon because it seems to be nice for today's presentation. And what's going on about this media art of electronic arts? We have here properties of features of this art, so that the first interactivity from 60s of 20th century, we got interactive installation.
Mshukuru Bwana ni mwema,
immersive. I don't know. And linearity is connected with multi-connection in the net, and we can show also some kind of work of art hypertextuality based on the idea of hypertext that is the
DJ Craving, the musical flavor, representing all the clubs and parties in the 254.
So that it can be a film, can be a JPEG, can be some kind of music or interactive database.
This is the DJ Craving on the wheels of steel.
Of such a picture as you see in the screen. There is an idea of future university, not so that we exist here not on Teams, not on Zoom and so on, but exist personally as the person who is under the body, virtual body and dress, and we can create ourselves as we want. I am always a little bit young. As you can see, it is not manipulation, but my needs. Of course, I don't want to say too much, and it is that it should be a fake. But of course, in a little bit we can change our identity, because nobody knows what does it mean immaterial. So the better is to talk about kind of materials, and in the aspect of hybridity, today also and yesterday you have many examples that we interfere and build relation between the physical space and virtual one. For someone it is immaterial, but better is to say electronic matter. Of course, we got examples of work of art here, but in this moment I would like only would like to show a few examples. So maybe this by Jeffrey show Golden Calf can be a good example to present the idea of virtuality. But of course, it is not a virtual world, it is video installation, interactive, and we have here the physical postament. On it is nothing, it is empty space, but when you will take an interface in your hand, there is something, there is a golden calf, so that without equipment, without a tool, without an interface of such electronic medium, it is impossible to see something. But if you immerse in the virtual reality, in the internet, in some electronic space, it's possible to see something more, to understand something more, and it can be personal, because it is a process of interactivity which is personal in this moment. There is a second interpretation of this work of art, but I do not to explain it too much, because it does not interest me especially. There is a connected with the Bible idea of the golden calf as something what is missing. We have two sources in Academia Electronica, in the Neutrinka Lisle, Dex Enviroment Neutrinka Lisle. It is the main administrator of Academia Electronica and creator. She is an artist too.
When the stakes are high at work,
the idea of hype, so that you can hype, so that
Time to question our lifestyle, look how we live. Smoking weed like it ain't no thing. So even kids wanna try now, then lie down and get ran through. Nobody watches them clocking the evil man do. Faced with the demons, addicted to hearing victims screaming. Guess we was evil since birth, product of cursed semens. Cause even our birthdays is cursed days. A born thug in the first place to worst ways.
This is intelligent content. We can accept it or not. We can say it is a conscious content. We can accept it or not. But what does it mean, artificial life? It is not so obvious. It is not so straight. Because it is artificial intelligence based on something what is different than life. And we have a fragment from Alexandra Łukaszewicz cyber person or place, and we can read here, in the human technologically transformed environment, we can start to come into genetically modified organism and to technologically enhanced human bodies. In the first case, there will be hybrid and so on and so on. Here, of course, we have virtual creatures. Alexandra researches are on the cyborgs in general sense, but I think it is the moment that this kind of definition is well done here. Maybe the last slide in this word about how one word can interchange, substitutes another. Also important installation by Masaki Fujihata, Beyond Pages. It exists in Karlsruhe. If we can see here, we have projection from we have to hear the projection and elements we know from the physical space our life. For example, the apple. Do we can to eat something in the virtual? Today not too much. Maybe in the aspect of telemacity, yes, so that maybe it is association. But question is, what about such interaction? What we can say about it is open subject. In Second Life there is many restaurants. I visited it a few, so it was a very nice experience to be in Second Life in restaurants and to eat something. Similar with the stone, it is a little bit different phenomena because just a second, because it is connected with the haptic experience, so that do we tend to move something. When we will go to the next word, I can play a little bit with basketball. Yeah? So do we tend to move, to touch? These controllers give some elements of haptic experience, but it is on this time it is a very little if we can imagine. Japanese characters means that we should know to know language, written language, because it is a sound. Also, today it is a mix of information when we talk about GPT-3, because everything is translated, modified, understandable. It is fantastic, really fantastic. And also the plants which can be grown out of the display, it is also interesting. The lights. I suppose that you know about smartphones in the meaning of smart functions, so that we can change everything from smartphones. Of course, not everything, but much. And glass, something romantic, something sophisticated from the restaurant or cafe that people have nothing for to do, so that playing with the water which is on the glass. it shouldn't be practical. Can be also such kinds of romantic experience. Next one is the time. Very interesting because, as I said before, we can a little bit change. Of course, not biological time, but mentally, for example. It is very free area for identification and interpretation. But now it is interesting aspect, fragment of this interactive installation connected with this is still a time, sorry, with the idea of personality and family. So that I know people who married in Second Life, for example, had children, it is a bot, and they live in virtual world similar to the physical space, fully emotionally, because emotion exists in virtuality, virtual world on this the same emotions we can feel, but the way is different. This slide is the main area of my interest. For example, main directions in new media art, properties of new media, but not to say more in this moment. So that I would like to ask you, do you it is important for us. Do you want to change the world in this moment? So let me try. So I will close Second Life. We will say goodbye, and we will meet in our space VR. Just a moment, please. We will meet in Altspace VR. Okay?
Maybe we shouldn't, that neither one of us are happy. You know that I'm emotional, you milk me, coming over crying just to get me feeling guilty. You and me were meant to be, and yet you always want to sweat. How much closer can we get? Don't fret, just let me pack my things and I'll be out. This time I'm breaking out, you let your mouth overcrowd me. I can't take the beefing and the griefing. I get no room to sleep, I hope the seats is cause I'm leaving. Maybe next time you'll be a little more sure, and I can give you more when you mature. But baby, until then I gotta leave you. It's not that I don't need you, but see ya.
Just a moment, please. Sometimes technology doesn't work in some specific important moment. Okay. We have a stream into the Altspace VR. It is ready, okay. The next, we must to change the internet. There is some technical experience here. Okay, and we have to do something with the screen. Okay, let me see.
Straight motherfucking ballin'. Part 2, still ballin'. Corrupt up in this motherfucker. West side, west side, west side, west side, west side. Now everybody wanna see us day. Now everybody wanna see us pull us to the head.
Everything what I see in this moment in the screen, and we will be together because of it.
Ever since a nigga was a seed, only thing promised to me was the penitentiary. Still ballin', riding on these niggas cause they lame. In a 6-1 Chevy, still heavy in this gang. Can you feel me? Blame it on my mama, I'm a thug nigga. Up before the sun rise, quicker than the drug dealers. Tell me if it's on. Nigga, then we first the bomb bust on these bitch made niggas. Hit 'em up, west side. Ain't nobody love me as a broke nigga. Finger on the trigger, Lord forgive me if I smoke it. I let my female strap, the fucker from the I cry? Hell nah, nigga, tears shed. For all my homies in the pen, many peers dead. Now everybody wanna see us dead. Two murdered on the front page, shot to death, bullets to the head. Niggas holler out my name in a similar way. Motherfuckers know I'm coming, so they run into their graves. Watch, swoop down with my nigga from the back. Cause the fuck don't give a fuck when you coward niggas now blast. Keep pumping, ain't worry about nothing. But the story was frontin', so reload and keep pumping. Now everybody wanna see us dead. Now everybody wanna see us bullets to the head. Now everybody wanna see us bust on these bitch made niggas, hit 'em up, west side. Now everybody wanna see us dead. Now everybody wanna see us bullets to the head. Now everybody wanna see us bust on these bitch made niggas, hit 'em up, west side.
But nobody cared about that. That what blew up all of the news. They didn't see me. They did not see me on TV with my eye busted, my head busted. There's pictures of those. You don't. Yes, in Oakland, you don't see the pictures. You see pictures of Tupac coming out of jail in cuffs. You don't see pictures of the police standing over me beating my brains in. You don't see that, but I see that.
Take a seat, baby girl, you've been all on my mind. I know I ain't called, got a part of my grind. Just copped the Maroon 5, no Adam Levine. Came a man by myself, only father was time. I know that she relate, baby daddy ain't shit. So she raised that nigga kids, but she swallowing mine. And that's why you all on my mind. All on my line like calling number 9. Cause a nigga popping like Harlem in the 9-7. Way before Mace was a reverend. I was a young nigga making A's at 11 or 12. Trying to get a taste of the heaven or hell. Only time gon' tell. Fuck her while her mama home, baby, don't yell. How many records do a nigga gotta sell just to get the cover of the double XL or fader? Fuck your magazine hater. When I say that I'm the greatest, I ain't talking about later. I'ma drop the album same day as Kanye, just to show the boys the man now like Wanye. And I don't mean no disrespect, I praise legends, but this was next. The boy sick can't disaffect. Life's a bitch and the pussy's wet. My clip is loaded and this is the kisser.
Now everybody wanna see us dead. Now everybody wanna see us bullets to the head. Now everybody wanna see us bust on these bitch made niggas, hit 'em up, west side. Now everybody wanna see us dead. Now everybody wanna see us bullets to the head. Now everybody wanna see us bust on these bitch made niggas, hit 'em up, west side. Now everybody wanna see us dead. Now everybody wanna see us bullets to the head.
But do you see the virtual world? Okay. I can explain everything step by step. Now or after. So it is important moment because I will try to stream Pulpit into the screen in Academia Electronica and everything will collapse in this moment. We will see. One. What?
I love the way you activate your hips and push your ass out. Got a brother wanting it, so bad I'm about to pass out.
In the near future, it will collapse, so that you will see how I provide my lectures, my friends also, how we can participate in conferences and congresses, so that we can change. Hello, Nutrinka, hello there. We can change this place. I disconnected, and of course we must to go to our presentation. But I would like to say that it is Virtualium, the first fully virtual conference in Poland, but maybe in the world. We don't know. We prepared the second edition of Virtualium. It is the memories. It names the digital beam, this auditorium. It is the iSpeak. It is the Agora, the main hub. Digital beam too. In some places we used in those times. So we have teleports to these places. Opera is my favorite, so that I would like to show you. I hope everything is okay. Let me give a few seconds for technology. It is friendly for us today, I hope. Is it art or not? This is opera, lecture in Academia Electronica. But what about telemacity? I would like to show you as we can go play in basketball. I can fly. Okay, let me go to opera. Controller doesn't work. Okay.
As a youth, to the truth, I got the scoop on how to get a bulletproof. Sex busting off the roof when I was a teenager. Mobile phone, sky page, and gang rules. I'm living major. My adversaries is getting worried. They paranoid of getting buried. One of us gon' see the cemetery. Hey,
Just a moment. Okay, left hand. And connect.
Look how they shake it for that cash. Once again, it's on. I had no sympathy for those afraid of mystery.
Okay, let me see what's going on in the physical space. And now I would like to start from the end, okay? Because we are talking about virtual art, and I don't know, we have no time too much, so that I would like to show you definition which I prepared about what virtual art is. So that I suggest that you see my kitchen, what I have to do preparing my lectures. I suggest that we use the concept of an artistic environment, considering a given created space in its entirety and fully adhering to virtual reality. VR art means staying in and experiencing an artistically created world. Furthermore, VR art combines and transforms our understanding of our types of art to a great extent, using visual art, stage design, elements and choreography, often including interactivity and artificial intelligence. This is achieved in the process of harmonious unification of those elements to create a new dimension in the entire VR environment. Thus, VR art has enriched the form, which is an outcome of this unification and does not accept the division between the artistic and non-artistic, because the form itself is frequently part of the virtual world. So, what I claim to be most important is that VR art unites different trends and types of art and does not try to disappear them. It's art which relies on the unification of various artistic trends. And the next definition, please, and we will visit one place for a moment. I suggest that we use the concept of... Oh, sorry. Just a moment, because I changed it here.
I thought I had friends, but in the end a nigga dies lonely. Nowhere to run them in terror. and no one cares. A closed casket at my funeral when no one's there. Is there a future for a killer? I changed
Give me a
my
moment,
ways,
I
but
must
still that don't promise me the next day. So I stay plugged
help myself.
It's just me against the world, me against the world, me against the world. It's just me against the world, me against the world, me against the world. Cause I had to.
There was something with the stream, so that I will read from computer, and it is not this definition, just we'll leave it. It is not so important. There is a second slide with the second part of definition of VR art. Let me visit one place, because of time, of course, and questions, and so discussion, and so on. Is everything okay on the screen? Okay, thank you. It is the most important. Definition is not so important. Give me a second. Favorites. I prepared one place to visit. And in the end, we will visit the next virtual world, but it will be on the end of presentation. Artist is from Vancouver. I hope it will be nice to be here for a few seconds. Of course, in AltSpace VR and in virtual world, there is many places. The question is, do we need to describe it, to write definition, and so on, and so on. Do you see this picture on the screen? Yes. Okay. There is many examples. I choose only one. Of course, Academia Electronica is created in such artistic way. This is the process of creation, which is different from the processes in a normal life, if I can say so like this. Artists explain, create something important, something non-important, but this dynamic power to creation, maybe similar to creation in science, but the subject different. So that cooperation between scientists, engineers, for example, and artists are very good. It is a good example for hybridization also. So that all in this place, of course, we can explore it longer. Nevertheless, I would like to show you the next world, the next place where we will meet in the future, for example. Let me see. Goodbye, AltSpace VR. What I wanted to show you, it is the spatial, but it is the under construction, Academia Electronica under construction. It is a little anecdote here, because 3 years ago, in a similar place, in a similar situation, I presented Academia Electronica in AltSpace VR, and it was really hole in ground. It was the building space. Okay. So that I don't know how to move, I don't know how to get somewhere. Nevertheless, I try to show you how we work. It is prepared for me for this presentation by Neutrinka Lisle, teleport to Academia Electronica in Spatial. But I am not sure is Academia in Electronica in Spatial will be prepared for the new semester. Maybe yes, maybe not. Let we travel. Here is something similar to the hub, something similar when we talk about it's me, yes? Hello. Teleports. The lecture hall has been transferred into the spatial. But it is not so interesting. I hope that this place will be the place for a new creation in spatial. It is the history, a little bit history of Academia Electronica, which was established in 2007. But question in the end is that it is short 3 years history. From Second Life it is of course 15, 16, 17 years. From ArtSpace VR into the spatial. But question is where we will meet for the next 2-3 years. Thank you, that's all.
Hello. Thank you very much, Professor Ostrovitsky. I'm taking over the place of Adrian, who was very tough for 2 days, but he had to rest for a while. So please don't mind. I will manage the Q&A session. I think that it was very inspiring and concluding presentation that has woken a lot of questions. So please feel free.
Hi, this is not the first time today or yesterday that I have this question in mind, but I feel like this is the fittest moment to ask it. I was wondering if there's already a conversation about making this virtual art accessible to people with visual impairments and disabilities in that sense.
It is an ontological problem because it is not only for people who experience VR. This ontological problem based on the idea that the high top end of electronic environments is a space similar in a sensual human experience to the physical space. We are living in 3-dimensional space with time. The question is in which world we want to live and which world will be most suitable. Facebook, Instagram, video game? No, it will be metaverse. Alternative space, virtual or electronic space to it is true to physical space. So that now you're right, maybe it is for people who can buy equipment, who are interested in it, but all of us we use email, for example. It was years ago. For next generation and next decades, possible, in my opinion, we will participate in virtual space as alternative kind of reality to the physical space, so that it is not for someone chosen people. It is for everyone, but maybe not today.
The question was maybe this is a very special focus of the of this what was asked, that will this metaverse reality be accessible to people with visual impairments who do not see well? For example, stimulating brain so that we can have...
Okay. It is the technology of the future. So that when we talk about some kind of interfaces, as EEG, for example, there is a connection with the mind, so that every usability, so as we can imagine, will not important. But now, of course, we have no solution, if I know, with such interfaces as Oculus.
Some other question? Anyway, for me it was very interesting and important that you decided to define virtual art for being within the world. So this seems to me a kind of very coherent approach and a good step. And yes, I feel like a lot of important things happened these last days. During this symposium, starting with the opera that I think that is historical moment with the use of VR in opera, and also with your final definition of virtual art given from within the virtual space, and sharing this experience with us. So thank you a lot.
Thank you so much.
I think that it's time to go to the conclusions at the end. But I will also like to give a voice to one stakeholder of our partners from Italy, from Opera Network and Conservatorio Puccini, to Ilaria Serra, who is with us here online from Boca Raton University in Florida. If we might get you, Ilaria.
Hello. Hello, can you see me? Yes.
I cannot see, I can hear.
Yes, I see you, I see Alessandra. Can I speak?
A moment, yeah. Oh.
Yes,
now we are visible and hearable, both.
Okay, perfect. I don't know if I can share maybe an image. I can?
Please, yes, please.
Oh. Okay, so I want to say, first of all, thank you very much for hosting, for having me there. I've been following some of your presentations, and they're all very, very interesting. And in fact, I think we can do something together. What we don't do is the technical part. We're very ignorant in the technical part, so it will be good to have a relationship with somebody who's an expert. But what we have instead is content. We are interested in making Italian studies at Florida Atlantic University, my university, in Boca Raton in Florida. We are interested in making Italian studies very present and virtually accessible. So technology is very important for us. We have done some projects in digital humanities, and you can see them here. We have the website, the Oral History Archive, the Documentary Archive, an interview site, but also we have experimented with, this is the Documentary Archive, with virtual art exhibit for the art of Tom Di Salvo, and this is the example. This is the virtual art exhibit that we were able to create with a PhD student. And one more thing that we are trying to do is to use Google Earth to illustrate geometaphors. So poems, Italian poems that can be walked on the streets of Italy through GIS technology. So this is something quite easy probably for you. It's a joke, but for us, it's the first opening into the technical world used to illustrate the humanities. So this one, for example, is a poet's presentation in his places using his poems. And this is what we do for now. So now I'm looking forward to working with you and anyone else who is involved in this amazing project. Thank you very much for your hospitality here.
Thank you, Ilaria Serra. And going forward, before I pass the voice to Professor Mugubi for the closing remarks, I would like to give share one information on behalf of the dissemination team that will be also talking tomorrow on the boards of forwards. But generally, we are collecting the papers after the presentations that were done, both during symposium and the workshops that we were having past 2 weeks. And the call for papers will be disseminated soon. We'll be trying to publish within a new metaverse series that was launched a few months ago by Taylor and Francis editorial. So, and for sure we will want to collect papers until September this year, before the next mobility to Greece. But this is to come, and look on your emails. And now I pass the voice to Professor Mugubi for the final remarks.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Mine is actually to thank all the presenters for the very interesting and enriching kind of experience we've had through the various kind of presentations. So I take this opportunity to thank all the presenters, and of course we cannot forget that we are here because of the European Commission that funded this particular project, communities and artistic participation in hybrid environment. So I also take this opportunity to thank the funders who made this possible. But I cannot forget to thank the consortium members, of course led by Professor Kuba Petri, for choosing to hold this symposium and actually to partner with Kenyatta University. You'll notice that all the participants in this consortium, apart from Kenyatta University, are from Europe. So we do not take that for granted. That's something huge for us. And of course, it puts us on a pedestal as an institution in this country and also within the region. So we don't take the collaborations we have with European institutions for granted, and we thank you a lot for that. Through the many presentations, of course, we have exchanged ideas from a cultural perspective. We have exchanged ideas from an academic perspective, and I'm sure we've expanded our horizon both ways in terms of the non-Africans understanding our way of doing things, and Africans understanding, of course, Professor Lacraz avoids using Africans, yes, which I'll also avoid, but at this point we are talking about Kenya representing the whole continent to some extent. So getting to understand each other and finding a nexus through which you can bring our ideas together through the whole idea of hybridization of the creative arts. We've been able to see a fusion of how we can be able to bring together the different kinds of arts together with architecture, how we can be able to use the arts to empower the community through, again, the hybridization, and of course very important in terms of conserving what we are losing rapidly because of globalization, is very critical, especially to us with our many different cultures tending to fade because of globalization. Now we have tools that we can employ to ensure that we are able to preserve, but at the same time we are also able to communicate with people from different corners of the world. So we really appreciate, and on behalf of the management of Kenyatta University, I take this opportunity to thank you. But I begin, of course, by thanking also a small clique of persons from Kenyatta University that have assisted in coordination. They're still assisting with the coordination of this particular mobility. We have Dr. Shapaya with us. We have we have Adon Ombura, almost Dr. Adonija Ombura. We have Ann Mwiti, Dr. Priscilla Getonga, Dr. Isaiah Oyugi, Clinton Kihima. Those ones have been very key, and they're still supporting me in coordinating the various activities. I cannot forget to thank the students who have helped us in terms of ushering and ensuring that we have our water, etc. I cannot forget the catering department. I'm sure you've enjoyed the food and you will still enjoy the coffee and the tea after this particular meeting. Don't forget to pass through the restaurant. So mine is just to thank you all for coming. There are quite a number of artists here who may not be affiliated to Kenyatta University, but you took your time to come here and also share your ideas with us and also experience what is new, bringing people from 7 countries, 6 from Europe, and of course, I keep on forgetting Rick Butler is from America. So 7 countries in one space, 36 of them, to exchange ideas with Kenyans is really a very refreshing and enriching experience. Of course, they're still here. The last person leaves on the 8th of March, and we'll keep on imbibing good stuff from you, and what we can also share with you, we'll gladly do so. Thank you for the presenters. Without this, it would not have been possible. Thanks a lot for heeding our call for papers and presenting yourselves in person and virtually. We really appreciate this. Would not have happened without the various presentations that we have listened to. I cannot forget the organizers who made this possible. Dr. Bogna, I can't try your second name, Professor Alcaraz, Rick Butler, Adrian, very critical. They made this possible. They organized this symposium, and it's taken weeks, if not months, to make this possible. Thank you once again.
Kurunzi ya kilimo kuimarisha afya na uchumi endelevu katika jamii ni msingi mkubwa wa kipindi Boresha Kilimo. Kipindi hiki kinajikita katika